Hello and welcome back. We're going to start the final tutorial on the setting up the pipelines. In our last video, we set up our connection from GitHub and our local repo all the way to Azure and created our three slots: dev and staging and production. Now what we're going to do is walk through the process of what this looks like when we develop locally, push a change, and see how these interact with the production environment. Here's where we left off, where we created our prod and dev pipelines. And so we're just going to quickly visit our site. Okay, see that it's up and running. Now, what I've done is I've made a change locally that we don't want. It's calling in right here. So this is a mistake. Really, it's just some change, but I just wanted to sort of highlight that this is the change. And we will push that. We'll first commit it towards dev branch. So we can just call it update UI, sure. And push origin. Okay, and that should be triggering our dev branch. And there it goes. So we've done that, and we can go in here and see that again. It's rebuilding that Docker image from the ground up, and then it's going to deploy to the dev slot. And again, we know that this takes about 10 minutes, so I will see you when this is complete. Okay, welcome back. It looks like we're all complete. The deploy to dev slot took quite a bit, 4 minutes. I feel like it doesn't usually take that long, but all in all, you see here we got 11, 12 minutes there. So this is deployed to our dev slot, and so we can go back to 404 report, deployment slots, and we can check out that dev slot. And so there's a little bump. Looks like it got loaded just a second ago. Browse and okay, there's our change. And that change is not going to be in our, let's just navigate back here. The change will not be in our production slot. Navigate to our production slots. And you can see that it's not there. Right, so there it is, there it is. Now we're going to carry that through to the staging slot and see how that affects things. So again, I'm just going to create that pull request, and we can see how it starts to kick off. Now, I've been told, because I ran into an error where I went a little too far ahead and just hit merge pull request, it is best to let these checks work themselves out. Just wait a second, and this will sort of happen here. And so I wouldn't merge that pull request until, well, one, after you've reviewed it and you're okay with the pull request. But in terms of the pipelines, if we go back to pipelines, we'll see that our production slot is kicking off. Not until it's built the image. So if you click in here and you go, there's 3 different steps, right? There's the build and push stage, the deploy, and then this will be like waiting for review. Don't merge it until it's been deployed to the staging slot, otherwise it will cause an error. You can also see that sort of inadvertently triggered our dev branch to run again. Yeah, that happens. I mean, because that YAML file's in there. So after prod's done, dev will kick off again. You can stop that. It's not a big deal, and it's not going to change anything since you're pulling from that branch's code anyway, which matches. but this has kicked off, and we'll wait for this to complete. And again, it's got to go through that 10-minute build, and we'll get back and show you how this works when we start swapping these slots. Okay, we see that we're complete here. One thing I did do is when I went into the dev branch, and even though this was going, I just went ahead and canceled it. Because these don't run in parallel, and so when it completed one job in prod, it wanted to go back and do dev, and I didn't need dev done, and so I just canceled that pipeline. I'm sorry, not that pipeline, but that particular run. Don't cancel, don't delete the pipeline. I just went in here, and as it was going, I hit these 3 ellipses, and I just said, oh no, not that one. Oh, it's not going to let me do it because I already canceled. So, going back to prod, we see that we are waiting here, so it's deployed to the staging slot, and whether I want to deploy it to the production, I have to hit review, and this is where the approvers come in. And so if I approve this, it will actually update the production slot with whatever's in the staging slot. Now this is where things get really neat, because these portions here of deploying to those slots, once with GitHub and just letting those things build out, that's really cool. But what helps us sleep at night is if we do this whole swapping thing, where what we do is we take what's in the staging slot, and instead of overwriting what's in the production slot, we literally just swap them out, and so we can see what that production environment would look like, and just in case anything goes wrong, we can just swipe it back to make any changes with what was in the production slot to begin with. So if we navigate back to our 404 report and go to our deployment slots, we can just check our staging, make sure we see our changes, and there it is. Let's go back to our 404 report again. And we see that we haven't done anything to the production slot as of yet. So now if we want to swap, we see this little swap button here, right? If we hit swap, it's going to give us that option to say, okay, we're going to take what's in staging, and we're going to put it into the target production slot. It doesn't overwrite anything, it just swaps them out. Okay, we see that we've changed those 2 apps from one staging slot to the production slot, and so now we're in the 404 report, and this is the production version. There's our change. Now, if we go back to our staging slot, what we'll find is that change does not exist. And so if we browse to the staging slot, we see that there is no mistake. And this is what's so neat about these slots, because you can put this into production and maybe you wait a week and everything's working fine, but then this mistake becomes this just glaring glitch in the whole system. Now, instead of like panicking and going back and having to do all sorts of rework and all that kind of stuff, which you're going to have to do anyway, at least from the customer end, it will be seamless because we can just switch those slots again, right? So if this mistake is there, we're like, oh crap, let me pull that app that we just had out there a week ago that was doing just fine until we can debug it and swap it back. Now, as this is happening, if we go back to our pipelines, the key is that we did not approve this yet. Because once you approve this, then it really will write over what was in production and it will carry that change through. And so it's really up to you how long you want to wait. This isn't hurting anybody, so this can be up there for, a week, a month, or however long you want to do it. Whatever time frame you feel that the staging, that the app in the staging slot is not running into any issues and adequately, solving all of the customer's problems the way they thought, and there's nothing going wrong. Once you feel comfortable with that, then you can go in here, click review, and approve. But again, then you can't be doing these swaps because once you approve it, again, that change goes all the way through. And so this, I would say, my own comfort level, let the customer play with it for a week or so, or maybe even a few days. I guess it really doesn't matter, depending on the change. If it's a big change, right, that's gonna sort of determine, how big the change is, and your personality type will probably determine how long this sits here and waits. But once you feel comfortable, go ahead and push it through. So in this case, this is a mistake. Let's just go back and swap those again. So if I go to my 404 report, which is the production report, and I say that was not a good thing, let's just go ahead and change those because I can't have that mistake out there. You can just swap it back. And so now we've seen that we've switched those again. And so if we browse to our 404 report, that mistake is gone. And all is well with the world. We can go back and do all the kind of debugging we need to on our end without the customer really noticing anything. Now, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to go ahead and push this through, and I can go on the back end and just change that. So if I go to review, and I say, yep, this is good, I actually like that heading there that says this is a mistake, that's what our clients want to see, it will deploy to the production slot. So we'll just wait a second here for that to get started, and we'll be back in just a second. Okay, we see that it's deployed to the production slot, and so now we can go back here, and now it's going to be there no matter what. So that change has been carried all the way through, and so this is a mistake, has been purposely left in. That concludes the life cycle of pipelines. I will go back and obviously change this thing here, but you see how we move from developing locally to going to GitHub, pushing those changes and seeing that on the server.